In this video, you will learn how to change the appearance of a component, insert a decal onto a component, adjust the scene settings, render an image locally or in the cloud. Next, I'll introduce these topics. First off, materials versus appearances. A material, as we covered in the modeling process video, is only applied to a component, and it changes the mass of the component. A material also changes the appearance of a component. For example, if you would change the material to cherry wood, the component would look like cherry wood. Now for appearances. Appearances can be applied to a component, a body, and a face. An appearance does not change the mass, and the appearance tool can be used in the design workspace or in the render workspace. Now let's talk about decals. The decal tool can also be used in the design workspace and the render workspace. The decal file can be located either in the project or on your local drive. The file types that Fusion 360 supports is PNG, JPEG, and TIFF. The decals can be placed on either a planar or a non-planar face. Inside of Fusion 360, decals can be scaled, flipped, and moved. Now let's talk about rendering. To do a rendering, you're going to switch from the design workspace to the render workspace. Here you'll adjust the scene settings. When it comes time to render your design, you can render it up in the cloud or you can render it locally. Now inside of Fusion 360, let's look at these topics. To apply an appearance to a component, simply right-click on the top-level file name or any one of the components, and from the menu, click on Appearance or press the A key. Then in the Appearance dialog box, select on the desired folder and subfolder if needed. And if you scroll down, you'll see the list of appearances inside that folder. When you see the arrow pointing downwards, that means that that appearance has not yet been downloaded. So if you would like to use that, simply click on that. Then that appearance will be downloaded, and then you can use it. To apply an appearance onto a component, simply click and drag it onto the component. Note that you can apply a material to any component, not just the one that was selected. You can also apply an appearance to a face. In the dialog box up at the very top, click on Faces, and then drag the desired appearance onto a specific face. You can also edit a color by right-clicking on it up at the top here and click Edit from the menu, then click on a new color. You can also change the red, green, and blue settings if you know those numbers. Then if desired, you can also change the name. And when finished, go ahead and click on Done, and then close the dialog box. Next, I'm going to insert a decal. To do that, I'm going to go into the Insert menu and click on Decal. Now I can select a file from my computer by clicking on the Insert for my computer option, or you can select an image that has previously been uploaded to this project, click on Insert, or double click on it. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select on the face that I want the decal to be applied to. Now let me zoom up. To move the decal, click and drag on the square, and you can see that the decal will slide between different faces, and then I can rotate the decal. Scale the decal by clicking and dragging on the upper right corner of the glyph. And what I'm going to do next, I'm just going to slide the decal down a little bit and maybe scale it down just a little bit. And then when I'm done, go ahead and click OK. If you want to make a change to that decal, it will be found underneath the component that it was placed on. So in my case, I'm going to expand the bracket component, expand the decals folder, and then I would right click on my decal that I just placed in, edit that decal, and adjust as needed. Now to create a rendering of this design, I'm going to go from my design dropdown and I'm going to select on render. Now in the rendering workspace, I can adjust my viewpoint as needed. Note in the render workspace, you can also adjust the appearance and you can apply decals here as well. To set how the rendering will appear, I'm going to go under the setup menu and click on scene settings. Now in this dialog box here, you can adjust the brightness. So I'm going to make it a little bit darker, but here you can adjust the background color if needed. You can turn on the ground plane. You can also flatten the ground and turn on reflections. And a little bit further down, you can change the camera to be orthographic or perspective. You can also adjust the focal length of the camera. If desired, you can also check the depth of field option. With this option, you would select on a specific point, and that would be your point of focus. You also have another option to change the background. So instead of solid color, I'm going to change this to environment. To change the environment, select on the Environment Library tab. To change the environment, simply click and drag from the list into the canvas. Now note that these environments are 3D. Now I'm going to set the viewpoint. With the environment option, I can also go back to settings and I can click on position. Here I can adjust the scale and I can also move the environment. And when you're done, click on position. That'll close that. And then close the scene settings dialog box. Now we have a couple different options to create the rendering. The first one we'll look at here is going to be in canvas render. And what you see here is Fusion 360 is doing a ray trace. So this is going to take a few minutes for it to render all the way through. Note in the bottom area, you can change the quality of the rendering by clicking and dragging on that arrow and moving it left or right. The further to the right, more iterations are going to be required. While the in-canvas rendering is going on, this is the only process that you can do inside of Fusion 360. Now I'm going to stop the in-canvas render. Another option to start a rendering is to use the render tool. With this tool, you'll also notice that we can do a local render. With this option, Fusion 360 will do a rendering in the background, and when it's done, it will appear in the rendering gallery, or you can send this up to the cloud. So by clicking on Cloud Render, all you need to do is click on Render, and this will be sent up to the cloud. At this point, you can continue working inside of Fusion 360. You can even close Fusion 360. The next time you start up Fusion and open up this file, your rendering will be available down here in the rendering gallery. For now, I'm going to close the rendering gallery. If you did an in-canvas render, you can save that image by clicking on Capture Image, change the resolution as desired, and then go ahead and click OK and save the file. And this completes this video on how to do a rendering inside of Fusion 360. Thanks for watching.